Oh my god, hey, my name is Mickey Jo, I am obsessed with all things theatre, and right now I am obsessed with the upcoming stage musical production of the film A Knight's Tale. It is receiving its world premiere later this year at the Manchester Opera House. I am at a rehearsal venue in London to get my very first glimpse of this show. We're going to see some numbers, we're going to chat to the cast, and crucially, we're going to find out how the hell they are jousting on stage. Let's find out all about A Knight's Tale, the musical.
We're very excited to share a little bit. It's always so strange because we're still in the process. These guys have been working so hard. We're in our fourth week. We've got another week here, and then of course a couple of weeks of tech, and then showing it to the world. So it's very strange at this point to let anybody in, but we just wanted you guys to come in to have a look at what we're doing because we're so excited about the show. And it is A Knight's Tale, which was legendary, iconic film from 2001, written, directed and produced by Brian Helgeland, and of course introduced us to some amazing actors, Heath Ledger and Paul Bettany and all of those incredible performers. And when we were thinking about how best to bring it to the stage, we thought it's an incredibly theatrical piece anyway. It was also, if you have seen the film, it was one of the first films, if not the first film, to use that sort of anachronistic use of pop songs and modern day songs against the story and the time and the setting. And so it's inherently theatrical, and we thought we need an amazing adapter, so we asked Brona Titley to adapt the script. And we asked Rachel Kavanagh, our director, and an incredible creative team that we've assembled to bring it to life. And what our driving force is, what from the film and from the script and from what you'll see today, is that we all just want to have fun. It is a fun story, it's incredibly entertaining, and it's a beautiful story about can someone change their stance? And so that was our driving force. But all the way along, we wanted to bring joy and entertainment to audiences, and so you'll see a bit of that today. And of course, in order to do that, we needed an exceptional cast. And so we have pulled together these people here.
Defender of his enormous manhood.
Yes, that was pathetic, but some men are gifted with words like me, and some men are gifted with the ladies like me. Like fire in my blood, like fire in my blood, like fire in my blood, like fire in my blood. Carry a hero. I'm as surprised as you are. And the Longitude Tournament champion is Sir Oracle Lichtenstein! Every single tournament champion champion is, everyone, say it with me.
So we just saw a preview of a couple of numbers from the show, one of which was a little more expected, with the other of which was a little bit more of a surprise to me, but the visuals and the staging and how we're doing the jousting, that was just sort of, as director Rachel Kavanagh told us, an indication of like some of how we're exploring it, but to get the full picture, I dare say horse heads may be involved, entire horses perhaps, possibly more members of the company. Maybe it's like a play on a hobby horse type of thing. I think you'll have to wait and see, we'll all have to wait and see the full production. Now I'm waiting to chat to the cast and creative team, where I will be asking more prying questions. I'd been so intrigued to see how this was going to make its way to the stage. We've had some answers today via a couple of performances, but I gather that there is a lot more still to be revealed. How exciting is it to be working on this world premiere new musical?
It's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, it is an iconic film and it has an innate theatricality about it. And to add more songs and turn it into this massive piece of theatre is a joy. We're having a ball. It's huge, though. But it has everything. Romance, fighting, jousting, children, everything.
Yeah, it does. It has everything in it, but it's like Rachel said, it's huge. There is number after number, there is scene and all of these fantastic people. But it's been a pleasure in the room. The cast are amazing and the material is solid.
Yeah.
It feels so good to sort of work with such brilliantly different and funny and moving characters. It's really exciting.
Yeah, and Brian Helgeland's been hugely involved and hugely supportive, both of Bruna's adaptation, but also of our process and our work. He's been involved through all the development, and that's been gold to have him with us, and telling us stories of how it was on the set of the film, but also just about always keeping us on course with what is the central message of the film. Can a person change their stars? If you believe enough, you can do anything, and that's a wonderful thing to be making theatre about.
I'm so curious about how you found the dance language of this. If there's one thing we always know with your choreography, it is that we are going to be dancing. And I guess there's the historical pageantry of it all, but it is so inherently anachronistic from the film and with the music. How do those two things come together?
In a couple of ways, really. It's obviously looked at the film and looked at what they were doing, particularly with Golden Years in that, and how it was having a modern tone to it, and it had this sort of groovy way of moving, and that opened the door for me to say, okay, if we can do that there, when we get all of these other moments, we can build out of that. But also nodding to the pageantry in the way that they do in the film, but not dwelling on it. Yeah. It's we know it's there, we see it in glimpses, and we respect that part of it, but like Brian did with the film, like with Golden Years, we push it forward and we keep going, and that's been exciting. And actually, with Brian being around, there was various different sort of moments in numbers when I would talk to Rachel and then say, I'm thinking maybe we do this with this number, and he was like, go for it, because you can't do the film, so you've got to go and do a different version of it. So hopefully it will work. We'll see.
Listen, it looks like it's working to me.
And also, sort of strangely, and no one will believe me in this, but me and my associate Lindsay, we did do our absolute research into historical dance, and we did we have a whole folder of information on historical. It's just so that when you're in a moment of something, and your audience might not even see it, but we know it was correct, and we know that we've taken something that is historically accurate.
Yeah, and there is the fun, isn't there? And we do this a little bit of turning the historically accurate into something else in front of you on stage, and both in front of you, but also to your ears. So the same thing can happen with orchestration and arrangement, in terms of, oh my God, they're doing that with that song, with those instruments. Oh no, it is that song, and it should sound like that, and it does sound like that. So I think we can have fun both with the band and with the choreography in that way, of those two times colliding.
The jousting, which we will get the full picture of when we see the show in Manchester, presumably was always visible from the distance as this mountain to climb, as this thing that would have to be realised. Was that terrifying or exciting, or both?
Both. And we did a lot of development on it. And some of the ideas that we had all along are in the show, and there's a pile of ideas that we've discarded. But thank goodness we tried them, last year in various warehouses and rooms. And we did a lot of experimenting. And, do we want one idea for the jousting? Do we want more than one idea? How do we do the horses? All these things. And we tried everything, didn't we?
We did. We got a group of actors into the room and said, okay, idea one.
Yeah.
And then we would do idea one. We go, okay, scrap idea one. Let's go to idea two. And it just sort of came out of that, didn't it?
We allowed ourselves to be both, we hope, both silly and thrilling. That's what we're aiming for, and we hope that the jousting runs that gamut in the film, in the show. Yeah.
As I think it should.
Yeah.
Was there any aspect alongside the jousting of it all that was a little more unforeseen as a challenge, something that perhaps snuck up on you, another hill that has since been conquered?
I think just the size of it. This is a huge show. It's a huge story with a lot of people and a lot of musical numbers, with a big design, and it's a huge show. I mean, we've done a lot of big shows, both of us, and we've done big shows together. So, but that it's every time we go, oh, it's big, isn't it? But that's also wonderful because the story is epic. And it needs to feel epic and thrilling. But also one of the wonderful delights, just to reverse your question, are the small moments and the still moments when they come and you go, oh, that's nice. Oh, and then we're off again.
Yeah. We've just seen a little bit of a preview of A Knight's Tale, the musical. World premiere production, coming to Manchester, back to the Manchester Opera House for you. Similarities, I suppose, with Anne Julia in some ways, but you're playing a very different character. Is this a career first for you as an out-and-out villain?
Yeah, I mean, I felt a bit like in Anne Juliet that he was kind of a little bit of the villain, but he wasn't as outwardly mean as Count Adhemar is. So yeah, I'd say it is my villain era.
Is it the new quadruple threat as well? Acting, singing, dancing, and then horseback jousting on stage?
Well, I like to really learn a new skill on each show, and this is my stilts. Yeah, but I don't think after this I'll be galloping around on those death traps.
Yeah. Has it been a learning process?
Oh, yes, definitely. My toxic trait is that when we first were given them, I was like, I'm going to be pretty good at this. And I put them on and I was terrible. Yeah. And then eventually you sort of get into the swing of it. We don't really get up to full speed on them in the sort of the size of the stage you have. Yeah. But it's still quite hairy when you've got the joust, a shield, some sort of extension of horse puppetry, and we're galloping around and having to make a little bit of contact with each other to music.
Yeah. They love it, these lads, honestly, when they're like, is it tea break? Can we put our stilts on and practice? We need to practice. It's very sweet.
Just playing outside.
Yeah.
Basically, we go out for a cup of tea and they're like clip-clopping around.
Yeah, going just working on
need to work on my rhythm.
Yeah.
And you are playing one of perhaps the greatest breakout characters from the film, Mr. Chaucer, who we already knew as this very oratorical presence, who now, in a theatrical context, that's heightened even more, and you're talking to us in the audience.
Well, exactly. I mean, he's the father of English literature, and, I can see you. That's the spoiler. Yes, that's a particularly joyous part of the show, is the ability to talk to the audience. And I've done a lot of Shakespeare, where there's a lot of direct address, so I'm used to that, but it's a tonally very different show to a lot of Shakespeare, so that's very exciting for me.
Yeah. Lots of surprises in terms of how this is being brought to the stage. Was there anything that surprised you about doing the show, big or small?
That's a very good question.
I think I was expecting it visually, design-wise, to be a bit more like medieval dress, and that was probably. But actually the designs that they've shown us and stuff are very exciting. Gabby's amazing, and I was like, yeah, it would have been obvious to do it like that. I think the design of the costumes is really exciting. It gives it that sort of concept of the pop world as well as feeling of its time as well. So that was probably a surprise for me. But the rest of the show, I think I came into it quite fully aware of what a comedy jukebox musical is. It definitely does mirror a little bit that Anne Juliet sort of style, and many other shows that have been attempted. But with this classic story, this film that was so successful, and how they've tackled the jousting, which is a massive element of the show, I think they're bringing something new to the stage, which is going to be very exciting for an audience to see.
What was any of your relationship with the film beforehand? Did anyone know it already?
I certainly did. It was one of my favourites growing up. I loved it. Me and my brother would watch it all the time. Even my mum would watch it, and she just didn't really watch a lot of battle-y, gory things anyway, but when that movie was on, it was good. I think it's because of Heath Ledger, honestly, but...
Listen, it has broad appeal.
It does have broad appeal, just like the show.
Seamless.
Yes. It's just one of those iconic childhood movies that I would stick on at least once a week. So to be here right now is pretty crazy.
I love that you called it a childhood movie. Thanks. I love that. I remember going to see it and not realising it had pop songs in it. And the moment when it started with "We Will Rock You," as we do, we're allowed to say that, aren't we? I think so. I just went, huh? And it was unlike anything I'd ever seen. And it was hilarious and naughty and nods to the history, but absolutely not a slave to that at all, you know. It was just enormous fun. It was like nothing I'd ever seen. And I think the musical's the same. It's going to be unique in the pantheon of British musicals, you know.
I hadn't seen it as a kid, or before, not just as a kid, or before I'd started this process. So everything is just a joy, like discovering what happens and stuff.
You're working with Rachel Kavanagh again on a very different kind of a show, and you have such an interesting character that offers us this really important dimension to the story.
Yeah.
What's it like playing that?
It feels, weirdly as an actor, it feels a little bit removed, because like these guys are having a lot of fun, doing all the japes and stuff, and I hope it's not too much to reveal that Prince Edward is a little bit, he's a little bit more aloof, he's a little bit more mysterious in who he is and how he's sort of heading through the play. So it's felt a little bit remote, and then of course to have everyone sort of like stand there and expect you to bring instant gravitas feels like a lot. But yeah, hopefully we'll get more sort of embedded with each other and with the ensemble as the process goes on, and I can't wait for sort of that to happen. Like
the
when
costume
we're in
will be doing a lot of the work.
the heavy lifting, I'm sure.
What can you tell us about the costuming and everything that you know so far about what this might look like?
They're astonishing. Gabby, the designer who won every award under the sun for Six, and I've never seen Six, but even I know the costumes are iconic, and has just won an award, the What's on Stage, I think, for Starlight Express. They're extraordinary, and we've got them here. I mean, not the costumes, they're making them next door. So normally you get sent for a fitting, we just pop next door. But we haven't really seen whole costumes yet, we're just being fit with bits because they're all being made. There are so many costumes. I've got 4, I think. A lot of people have multiple costumes, and they're all being made. They're huge, they're epic. We had a makeup tutorial because we're going to have to wear a lot of makeup, otherwise it will look like there isn't a human inside the costume. They're huge, they're colourful, they're brazen, they're a bit sexy. It's got it all going on. Yeah.
I did spy the sunglasses happening during. Is that a rehearsal placeholder for a helmet visor, or is that sunglasses?
No, this is what Ollie was talking about, is that Gabby and Tom have embraced kind of the tone of the movie, in the sense that it's a period world, but with contemporary touches. So there are lots of anachronisms. There are things that you'd be like, oh my god, that's like very unexpected to be there. For example, at certain moments, that is very joyous. You know, it's a splicing of what the movie does with the soundtrack. You know, it's one of the first to kind of put a contemporary soundtrack on a period piece, and that's carried over into the visual world and the visual language of the show as well.
And it's how do we tackle the issue of the armour and the helmets and stuff, which doesn't really lend itself to theatre, because as soon as you've got that, you could be anyone, right? So there's a way that the sunglasses we'll be using are definitely just for the rehearsal room at the Mo. But I don't think.
Are they?
I think there'll be a variation of design. We don't know. Basically, we don't know. Basically, those questions are still being worked out in the production meetings because we're making a new musical.
Yeah, we're
so
week 4 of rehearsals.
When you do this, like it was with Anne Juliet, you're almost still workshopping in this rehearsal process as well, and everyone's working very fast to get this to a place where they just get it right. And I think they're right in the sense that if we were in full clobber and full armour and stuff, we wouldn't have the freedom to be as physical, which is way more important than the visual image of us being in armour. And if we had masks down, you wouldn't see the character, you wouldn't see the expressions, the acting, if you like. So,
and you make a virtue of it being theatrical. You know, we're not able to cut away to the point at which the joust shatters, but what's the equivalent of that, and how can we use our bodies, and how can we use these innovative props and different ways of imaginatively delighting the audience with the way of going, oh my god, I remember that bit from the movie, but it's done like this.
So we're still learning, and I think even when we get it in front of an audience, we will still be learning. You know, this is the first time the show's been put on, and hopefully it has a long life. But again, I hate to go back to it again, but Anne Juliet and stuff, it changed drastically before it got to London. In Manchester, you got it in front of an audience and you learnt what worked and what didn't work. And then versions down the line, if it gets to the West End or Broadway or international tours or who knows where.
Jousting round the world.
Jousting round the world, yeah. I mean, it's going to...
Are you fishing to see if a song's in the show? Jousting all over the world.
Didn't even think about it.
all over the world. Oh, why is that not in? Hold on.
Won't appear, yeah.
I'm doing a careful little balancing act here because there's only so much that any of them are allowed to say. We very much have to wait for the show and for that first preview performance, which I will not be at. I will not be there until way later in the run when they're ready to open for reviews. So, in fact, many of you may find out what the show's like before I do. But I want to try and learn as much as I can. I'm an investigative journalist today, everybody. What are some of the differences that we can expect? Things that we might not see coming?
Well, for one, there's a lot more dancing in this than there is in the movie.
And a lot more songs.
A lot more songs. The horses might look slightly different than in the movie, or they might look exactly the same. Who knows? You'll have to come and see to find out. I think there's moments that we can pick out in the show that you can't really see in the movie. Moments that can become a little bit just either more comedic or they can be a little bit more resonating to an audience, because you've got an audience that watches it live, and so that sometimes some things can just hit a little bit differently when you've just seen the aftermath of an event and then the fallout of that, and you get to sort of live with the characters in that moment. In the movie, sometimes you don't really get that because you just got a different connection to the TV screen, whereas in live theatre, as with all live theatre, that's why we love live theatre, is that it's just a different way of connecting with the characters and the music and the buzz of a live show, and this hits it definitely very well.
I grow more excited.
Gender politics have been updated a bit. It's been, not wishing to make it sound dry, but it's been queered up a little bit as well.
A little bit.
I grow more excited by the sentence. So we're here at rehearsals for A Knight's Tale.
I'm a little bit moist, I'm not going to lie.
I think we all are.
It's a warm day.
How could you not be after the production numbers that we just saw?
And that's just 2 numbers. We all finished and we were like, oh no. I mean, it's fantastic, but I'm a little bit scared about how sweaty we're going to be in our leather.
Oh, yeah.
Not that we're necessarily wearing leather.
There's so many details of this production. I'm intrigued, perhaps like never before. I'm a huge fan of the film. We're beginning to find out from today a few little details, like how we might be jousting on stage.
Little tasters happening, but we are keeping our mouths sealed as to the details, because I think it's really exciting.
You get to, the two of you both, bring a lot of, dare I say, badass energy to the stage. How's that been going?
Well, our new haircuts, I think, are helping with this.
Yeah, we've both been dyed and...
I've been shorn.
Looking great.
Yeah, thank you. To get a bit more of that, like, punk rock. Yeah. What do they just... medieval punk rock energy.
Yeah, that's what we're going for. Yeah. But the badass vibes. Our characters are written very badass, and so...
And Brona's up that and really, run with the bones of what was given to us in the film, and has allowed us to sort of really, take it further and take it up a notch. It's great.
Yeah. You, I guess, have perhaps the biggest evolution of character from the film to the stage, because a substantial change for what here? What's that been like in playing that?
It's cool. I feel lucky because the film is so long. I love the film and have the what from the film in my head a lot. But I think given the difference in our gender, despite anything else, it makes it easier to take a bit of agency over it. But so it's fun. It's really fun. Yeah.
And I'm feeling a lot of comedy moments coming from your general area.
Yeah, general comedy vibes. I mean,
tomfoolery.
Everybody in this show that's what I think is so brilliant about it, is that every character gets a real comedy.
Yeah, that's really nice. No one is forced to be the straight man at all times. Everyone gets a little bit of silliness.
Yeah, it passes around, but I often am.
You are holding quite a lot of silliness in your arms, which I respect.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Kate is such a great character in the film already. It's that moment when we get to her and when she joins, it's like, okay, now everything's in place.
Like the gang's finally together. You've got all the it's really, I will say, being part of that gang is really fun, and everyone in it is glorious. And I think we did sort of instantly go, we sort of became
we've become quite gang-like, don't we? We sort of walk around North London just
just giving it wish we go for tea, you're getting a coffee, yeah, I'll come with you, yeah.
But then this sort of diva-like vocal moment, as you would expect in the musical version of the film, seemed to come quite naturally to you.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mickey. They said, can you sit on a moving piece of scenery? And I said, if I must.
Waited my entire life.
I think what's lovely, and I said this in a previous, is that we get to explore Kate's inner world a little bit more. She's not just sort of the occasional quipping character. We get to see actually what it is to be a woman at that time, what it is to be a working woman at that time. And I get to have a little sing-song and a little comment on the story and an opinion, and it's great.
We are almost wrapping things up here, but I'm about to chat to the show's two romantic leads, Andrew and Misha, William and Jocelyn. We're going to very quickly ask them about these iconic roles.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Mickey Jo. Nice to meet you.
Joe.
Hi. The boots are really quite something.
Right.
All the footwear going on here. And that's before we talk about the extended stilts. That's the word I'm looking for there. It's been an afternoon. The stilts, acting, singing, dancing, jousting. Now, quadruple threat.
Yeah, so the stilts, I was saying, they didn't ask me if I could walk on stilts before when they offered me the role, but thankfully they gave me the training that I needed. But yeah, so we're using stilts to portray one of the key factors of this complicated thing to stage, to do a jousting musical, but yeah, it's going to be incredible. They keep there's obviously a lot of elements that need to come together to make it work, and they keep kind of adding things. But my job is just to be very good at galloping on stilts, which I'm doing my very best at, and I'm just excited to get onto the stage and in the lights. That's one thing I'm aware is once the lights are kind of coming at me from all angles, am I going to be blinded? But no, it's a lot of fun, and I think it is something that audiences will not see anywhere else.
Very quickly, because I've been told that you need to get away for a fitting. Iconic characters from the film. What are you bringing to them in this new theatrical world premiere production?
We were basically having a chat about this earlier and just saying that they're very much true to the film, but the musical, they're just enhanced. Everything is 10 times bigger, 100 times bigger. Jocelyn is more of a feminist. She's stronger-willed, and she shows her real lover girl side, but also will really put William in his place. He deserves to be put in his place.
Getting to sing something lovely, I hope.
Oh, I'm singing a few things.
She is.
Perfect.
Singing
and
a few
they are
things.
all lovely.
If you haven't heard Misha sing before, then you need to get tickets.
Very nice. Yes.
Yeah, William is, like Misha said, everything is heightened and enhanced, and William is the dreamer. William has the dream which we're following, to become a knight, to become a champion of the joust, and he... Sorry, there's a line in the show.
No, we won't. We'll move on.
Anyway.
We have that to look forward to.
Yes, that you have to look forward to, and you'll understand that moment there. But he wants to win the world championship of jousting, and he is really in the film. That's his super objective. That's what he wants to do. Obviously, we get to sing about it. We get to really exclaim with the beautiful melodies what we want and how badly we want it. And so it is just taken to the next level in that way. But as well with Brona's incredible adaptation, like the comedy and the pacing and everything. Like it's if you love the film, you'll love the musical. And if you haven't seen the film, you need to. It's brilliant. But as well, like this musical has something for everyone, and I can't wait to share it with audiences.
I cannot wait to come and see it. Thank you so much, both of you, for your time. Enjoy the rest of this rehearsal process. Best of luck with the show.
What did you think? Did you like it?
I liked it very much. I'm a huge fan of the film. Very excited. Was very intrigued to see how it was going to work, and all of the combination of epic and playful that I think is at the heart of the way that it's staged feels right for the material.
Yeah.
Good, that's good to hear. Reassuring.
Good feedback. Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me. Enjoy the rest of your rehearsals. I can't wait to come and see the show.
Thank you so much.
Nice to see you again. Nice to meet you. Okay, I am now on the street after the event. That was very exciting. That I think was really promising. I have really high expectations when it comes to this because I love the film so much and because it seemed so unruly to me to bring to the stage, and it has that relationship to its music. But I was like, is this going to justify being a musical? That's always a big question that we have to ask about these things. I'm not reviewing at this stage. I've only seen 2 songs in a rehearsal context and spoken to some of the cast and creatives. That will come later when I see the full production, obviously, at the Royal Opera House in Manchester. I'm scheduled to see it. I can't remember if it's towards the end of its run. I'm seeing it at the very end of April or the very beginning of May. Stay tuned, make sure you're subscribed with the notifications turned on until then. But the whole tone, feeling, I think I said it in one of those interviews, epic and yet playful. Lots of people on stage, lots of moving pieces. The jousting, I think it might be something sort of hobby horse-esque with the stills. I mean, the movement of it and the sound of it when they were emulating it with those cans on the floor, sort of in a Monty Python sort of a way, that I thought all worked really well. It looks right, it sounds great. Those characters are brilliant. There's so many great characters. The cast is fantastic. I thought this when it was announced. I'm really excited about A Knight's Tale. Book your tickets. If you don't know the film, get to know the film. If you do know the film, I think this is going to be a really great one for those of us who love the film. I'm very excited to go and see it. That is all I have to say. Thank you for joining me on this expedition. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you've enjoyed, and I hope you are as excited as I am about the upcoming world premiere production of A Knight's Tale, the musical, at the Manchester Opera House. I will be seeing the show there. Make sure you stay tuned for my full review to find out exactly what this production is like. Make sure you're subscribed, following me on podcast platforms so you don't miss it. I hope that everyone is staying safe and that you have a stagey day. For 10 more seconds, I'm MickeyJoTheatre. Oh my god, hey. Thanks for watching, have a stagey day. Subscribe!